Welcome to Bon Jovi Discussions. Today I have my buddy Patrick, who has been on the podcast before. Actually, I think we talked about the Soul Kitchen last year, right? If I remember correctly.
We had just got done meeting at the
Yeah,
chili cook-off. Yes, we
yeah,
talked about, I believe, the Have a Nice Day outtakes.
that's right. That's okay.
Yep,
That's right.
yep.
Anyway, so we'll get right into our topic today. We are going to talk about the ninth annual JBJ Soul Kitchen Tom's River Chili Cook-Off. Whoa, what a title there. So obviously this year I couldn't make it. I really wanted to be there. For those that don't know, my wife is due in about 5 weeks. So Tom's River is about 7 hours from me. So A, she didn't want to come, and B, I thought it was better if I stayed home to take care of her. And the doctor is expecting for the baby to arrive early. So it was best that I was home this year for it. So unfortunately I missed the Soul Kitchen event, but family's more important. But I know a lot of my friends went. And I know Patrick, you went last night,
Yep.
yesterday, so you're going to tell your story here in a second. But before I do, I really want to acknowledge, and we'll get into this in a little bit. I really want to acknowledge that John took so much time yesterday, as he does every year, taking time with fans to sign stuff, take photos, and so forth. And we'll get into that story here in just a second. But you know what? Let me shut my mouth and I'll just let you tell your story from the beginning to the end.
Okay, so I got tickets right when they went on sale, right when I got the email. And so being a ticket holder, I was getting a lot of updated emails, as I'm sure the other ticket holders got that we aren't usually used to. Uh, First off, being they released a considerable amount of more tickets this year. Then it sold out a lot quicker than they expected. And then as we got closer to the cook-off, we were getting emails about how they were worried about parking situations, encouraging people to carpool or Uber. They didn't think they'd be able to accommodate everyone for parking, and that basically it could potentially be a little more chaotic than years past.
Yeah.
So,
And
so
I'm sorry, I just want to kind of
no, you're
interject
fine.
there. I
Yep.
know just based on going previous years, every single year you see it grow more and more. There's always more people to follow because they know that John is going to be there. So you have fans all over the world coming there just to meet John. A
Hmm.
lot of these people didn't buy tickets, didn't support the chili cook-off or the Soul Kitchen, and were solely there just to meet John, which is whatever. But yeah, every year it gets bigger and bigger, and I know we'll get into this. They're just
Hmm.
anticipating this to be a lot crazier.
Hmm.
Anyway, so I just want to add that in there.
No, no, absolutely. So the night before, I stopped. Came down the night early and we had dinner at the Soul Kitchen in Tom's River, and the staff is always great, as you know. And I asked them. We got there kind of late, so we were actually still in there as they were closing up. And I said, if you don't mind me asking, I said I noticed that you have released more tickets than usual. Do you mind if tell me how many tickets you released to the event? And they said, yeah, we released. Or first of all, before she said it, I said I heard you guys released a lot more tickets this year than the past years. And she goes just like this. She says, "Yep, we have," kind of hinting that you know. And I said, "Well, if you don't mind, how many did you release?" She said 600. And I said, "Wow." I said, "That's a lot." I said, "How many has it always been in the years past?" And she said 500. So they released 100 more, and I didn't think it was 500 last year, but I guess it would have been. But she told me, she said, yeah, she said, we're a little concerned. She said, because we're afraid this could turn into some safety issues.
Hmm.
Um, and I said, okay. And I said, well, and she said, we are really pushing wristbands this year. She said, you don't have a wristband, you're not getting in. And she said, as for these people on the fan groups and everything who didn't get their tickets, still thinking they're going to come down here, they go, it's not going to happen. I said, well, I have a friend who's part of the community who didn't get a ticket and is still taking the risk and coming down here. And she said, I'm telling you, get on the phone right now and tell them do not come. They're not getting in. I'm like, okay. So the person ended up coming anyway, and I shared everything they said. So last year, and I wrote down the times. I left. I stayed at the same hotel I did last year. I left the hotel right about 10 after 9 or so. Got down there about 20 after 9. As you remember, there was a handful, maybe 20 people around the barricade.
That's it
Um,
at 9 o'clock.
no, last year,
Okay.
and we were kind of moving around the barricade and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, that whole parking section where we parked last year, they had completely blocked off. There was no parking.
Wow.
So then at as I'm pulling in there, my friend who's there texted me and said, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm just a minute or two away." And she said, "It's already packed." And I'm like, "Really?" And she goes, "Yeah." So I got maybe one of two or three parking spots left in that whole plaza.
Wow.
Um, and I start walking up, and there's a huge line, and I said, "Oh, is this the line to?" I think this is how it went. I said, "Is this the line, to get in for the barricade?" And they're like, "No, this is just the line to get your wristband." And I'm like, "All right." So then once you got your wristband, they put you in another line to get into the barricade line to get into the barricade. And it wasn't like last year where once you got in, you could kind of. I mean, this is still 9:30 in the
Yeah.
morning, three
Yeah.
hours before it even starts. Once you
Exactly.
ran, you were
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I just want to interject on that
yeah.
too, because I know in previous years that, fans like you and I and others, we would start being there around 8 o'clock because, if you're front row at the barricade, chances are you're going to get to have that moment
Hmm.
on. And I
Hmm.
remember in previous years that the staff would just come through the barricade, early morning and put wristbands on for it. But now you're saying this year they started something new with you having to be in line to get your wristband first before you go to the barricade, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So I was right about where we were last year, pretty much the same spot.
Okay.
And I think you remember probably last year as it got closer to 1 o'clock, people started coming out of the woodwork and they started kind of piling in and stuff. Well, this year, where like we were standing last year, a fire truck blocked us in. So we
Oh,
had a fight. So we had a fire truck horizontal and kind of staff around it, not really allowing because like last year it was kind of like a gamble. Is he going to come out on this side? Is he come out on this side? Well, this year they made it clear first come, first serve. The line's going to start over here.
yeah,
So when the fire truck came in, we first thought it was a good thing because it wouldn't allow a bunch of people to pile in behind us.
sure.
Well, all of a sudden people started showing up who didn't have wristbands and stuff like that. So they had said you're not getting in the barricade. So they all just kind of formed their own line where the barricade stopped.
Okay.
And, and
So
so,
only fans that had wristbands were allowed to stand at the barricade then.
mhm.
Got
but
it.
like I said, once you were in there, you were pretty much sitting put because there was, and I obviously won't mention any names, but there was a family there who'd been sitting there waiting uh, for quite a while. And she got up, I think, to maybe go use the bathroom or go get a coffee or something. And she started walking back, and people are like losing their minds, like, no, no, and they're like, we're all like, she's been here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
let her go back to her family. So it started getting a little ugly. And then all of a sudden I looked over and a woman just collapsed. And I don't know if I thought it was the heat. Other people said that they think she tripped and fell, but she left. She never came back. I mean, there were people there in wheelchairs. There were handicapped people. Um, so all of a sudden, like last year, he got there. I would say, I mean, the event starts at 1. He probably got there, I'd say, between 12:30 and 1.
Really? That's
No, last year when we were there.
Oh, okay.
So this year he came out at 11:50.
Damn.
So I'm like, okay, this is a really good sign. He got here an hour earlier than usual, probably trying to accommodate everyone.
Yeah.
Well, like all of a sudden last year when he went, sampled the chilies, kind of looked at the audience like, I'm coming, I'm coming. Well, he sampled the chilies, and next thing you know, 1150 turns into 1250 because I was screenshotting it on my phone. Um, 1150 turned into 1250, and people were wondering, I wonder if he, sampled the chili and left, or. But then, sure enough, 1250, he comes out, and we're all like, okay, finally good, here he comes. Well, in the meantime, you know where he started last year?
Yeah, if you're facing the building to the right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a parking lot to another plaza or another business that's nowhere near affiliated with this event that I would say probably at least 40 or 50 people came piling in there who didn't have tickets. And then we have a whole nother line, I would say of close to 100 people at the other end who don't have tickets. Now, this is where people started losing their mind
Of course.
because everyone's like, whoa, I've been here since five. One girl just come down with me says, I've been here since 5 o'clock this morning. Well, sure enough, all these people pile in, and that's right where John's starting.
Yeah.
So it kind of got ugly for a minute. Well, as soon as he started, the first thing I noticed was he was grabbing stuff, he was flying, and all of a sudden I started hearing people go, wait, wait, I didn't get anything, and Matt was walking him around.
Yeah. Which I want to interject there too. It was really Matt's like the coolest guy.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time out of the 9 years that Matt has maybe in earlier cook-offs. I think he went, but the last few years Matt has never really gone to these cook-offs. And we all know Matt, protects John and stuff. And he's
Mhm.
Bon Jovi management. Um, but so that was kind of cool to see him, you
Mhm.
know, protect John and stuff. And I just want to kind of interject that in there.
Yeah, yeah. So Matt was walking him around, and there was another security guard who was walking him around. I don't know who the other security guard was. He had the slippery pendant, so he was obviously
Oh,
part of the.
Lou. That's probably, I think Lou.
I'm not sure who it was, but all of a sudden, like I said, I mean, and with the exception of where the people piled in, the regular ticket holders who'd been waiting there all day, it didn't go more than two people deep. Like along the barricade, there might have been one person behind them. Nothing crazy. Well, he starts signing, he's flying, he's jumping people, and all of a sudden I hear people are like, "Whoa, I didn't get anything." I like the whole thing last year where sign something quick, he'll take the selfie. Not even close to that. So like I said, I'm hearing people be like, "Whoa, I didn't get anything. I didn't get anything." And then the security guy that was with him, not Matt, says, "Listen, he's not going to get to everybody. This is impossible. It's like the luck of the draw." So like he's whipping around. So what I had brought this year was when he came out, he was wearing a black t-shirt and this hat. And I looked around, there was only one other person other than me wearing the hat in the crowd. So when he came out, and I brought 7,800 again to try to finally get it personalized.
Yeah.
So all I was hoping for was I thought like once he saw the hat, and so all I was hoping for was I wasn't even gonna bother him. I was just like, John, can you just sign this to me and can we get a selfie with the same hat? That was all I was looking for. And there was no way he was personalizing anything, and it was either one or the other, if
Yep.
anything at all. So like I brought my mother, and she's a fan but not a collector. So like she had said, well, give me something, and I'll try to have him sign it, and just try to get a picture of me and him. And he came around the corner, and I'm just like, I got time for a selfie if I'm lucky. So
Yeah.
I dropped the record and everything. And I'm like, John, like, can I get a selfie? Same hat. And he walked right past me. And I'm like, John, come on, man, just quick selfie, same hat. And all he did was he just kind of tipped his head like that. I got a bullshit picture. And he moved along the line, and I'm just hearing people. And so then I didn't realize he signed the album that my mother had given him. So I brought Bon Jovi 1984, the first one with
Yeah.
him on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
cover. So my mom gives it to me, and I'm like, he didn't sign it. And she's like, yeah, he did. She said he like forcefully ripped it out of my hand and then gave it back to me. So I turn it around. He signed the back of it
Ooh,
where
he's not
where
on the back cover.
where there's not even on the back of, like right over like Richie and Alec, right?
Oh,
So I'm thinking to myself, he, like what's going on? So he's going down further and further, and I'm like, this, just I'm like very disappointed. You know what I mean? So my mom's like, well, why don't you go down there and jump back in line? I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, they hate when people do that, and and well, next thing you know, there's got to be, like I said, probably close to 100 people who didn't have wristbands that formed their own line. I said, I'll tell you what. I said, I'm not going to get back in line. I said, but you didn't get anything. I said, if you want to get in the very back where the last ticket wristband is, I said, if he comes down that bar, I said, I'll just try to get a picture of the two of you. And she said, well, do you want to try to give me another album that he'll sign better? I said, sure. So I gave it to her, and I gave her the 40th anniversary of 1984 that just came out
oh, nice.
with the modified front cover. So he comes up to her again. I saw the look on his face, like he like had a really disgusted look, and I took my hat off because I didn't want them thinking people were jumping the line, and I wasn't in the line. I was just trying to get a picture of of him and my
Yeah.
mom, and he looked very unhappy. He took the record, but he put a beautiful signature on the front of it. Full Jon Bon Jovi. I took a picture of it. I'll send it to you. But
Yeah.
he wouldn't take a pic. He wouldn't take a picture. And then come to find out, it was kind of the opposite. Like people always try to get there, and other people might have. You're going to hear mixed reviews because there really was no one in the middle. The people who had great experiences had great experiences, and the ones who had bad ones had really bad ones. So, um, so like I said, the ticket holders, the people trying to do the right thing, get the early line up. Well, this new line ends up like the person I was telling you about. Well, I'm glad it worked out for her. She never had a ticket or anything. She got a selfie and an autograph, and she didn't even have a ticket and wasn't even part of the wristband line. So I don't blame. Um, I I'm trying to be careful with my words. I don't necessarily blame John for that. I just kind of blame the way
Yeah.
it was organized.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
but so, and then once I get inside, um, I mean, it was just pure chaos. I mean, there are 100 more people in there. So I ran into some people that I had been waiting with, and like they were the people around me. One of them flew from Florida to Philadelphia, rented a car from Philadelphia, come New Jersey, got there at 7:30 in the morning. I said, "Hey, how'd you end up making out?" She said, "I didn't." I
Yeah.
said, "You didn't get?" I said, "You didn't get anything." She's like, "No." Another guy from Texas, or people from Brazil. So I get in line, and one of the people I mentioned about was part of the fan group before we just started. I ran into her and I just said, "Hey, I just want to introduce myself. I recognize you from the podcast and stuff like that." And she was with a friend, and I looked at the friend and I said, how'd you make out?" She's like, "I didn't." I'm like, "You didn't
Damn.
get any?" I'm like, "You didn't get anything?" She's like, "No." And she said, "Plus, I fell and it got busy, and she had a big bruise and she was all bummed out." I said, "Well, wait here a minute." And I went to my car and I got the record that he signed on the back. And I said, "I know it's not much, but I was lucky enough to get something." I said, "I don't want you to leave here empty-handed.
Man,
Please take this."
you're too cool of a guy.
Yeah,
Look at you.
yeah. So she did, and her friend thanked me. But as I was walking back to the car, I heard. I mean, some people were actually tearing up, like they were bummed out.
Yeah.
And like I got talking. Unfortunately, 95% of people try to do the right thing.
Yeah.
It's the 5% that screw it up. So, um, I don't know. I went in, and like I said, even that whole situation put aside, there was just a very different vibe this
Yeah.
year because, like I said, a lot of people they like the event as a whole. They like getting there with the friends that live throughout the
Yeah.
country. They don't get to see. You couldn't really do that. I mean, the lines for the chili and the sampling were insane,
Yeah.
and
before we get into the actual
Yeah,
event,
yeah,
I
yeah.
kind of want to talk about the, John and the, the just the chaos.
Hmm.
I don't think it's fair for anyone to point their fingers at John because I will say this, from the very first cook-off, there was very few fans. And as years
Hmm.
gone by, John every single year has gone, taken photos with fans, and he does his best. And,
Hmm.
even from the last 2 years, it would take him, or before that, it would take him maybe a half hour to get through the crowd, and then it takes an hour, then it takes 2 hours. I mean, last year he spent 2 hours.
I
How
I
long?
clocked him at right about 2.5 this year.
2.5. Okay, so see,
Yeah, yeah,
that's the thing. You have to give John credit because even as chaotic as it was today, A, he showed up early. B, he tried his damn hardest. Just like Matt and Lou and all the other crew said, he's not going to get to everybody. It's impossible. And I
hmm,
sympathize for people that didn't get anything. That it absolutely sucks. It does. But I know like a lot of people online were just complaining and pointing their finger at John. It's like at least he tried. And it's
hmm,
the luck of the draw. And there's a
hmm.
you got to think there's 600, well, 600 ticket holders, but there's how many people do you think was there? Over 1,000?
Um, I would say probably 800.
800? Okay.
If they
So
sold 600, if they
yeah.
sold 600, yeah.
So if everything, and I've heard some really crazy stories from, yeah, because I had a lot of friends that went, and a lot of friends told me, yeah, there was like people trying to get 5 things signed and selfies and family selfies. Like, you got to think, as I think in that situation, you either, like you said earlier, you either pick a photo or you get something signed. You can't do both.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and I saw a lot of videos yesterday where John looked pissed off, and rightfully
Oh,
so.
yeah,
You saw fans pushing each other to get to John, and people are screaming. It's total chaos.
yeah.
And so I give the guy credit, and then I hear that there were a ton of fans. I guess he went to the restroom or something, and there was a ton of fans waiting outside of the bathroom, waiting for him to come out or something. Um,
I don't know that. I don't doubt it, but I
yeah.
don't know that.
And then there was fans after so we all know that John leaves as soon
Mm,
as he's done signing, he leaves the event.
mm,
There
mhm,
are fans that were camping out at the Soul Kitchen. They were trying to clean up and get people going, and there's people that refused to leave. I don't know if you
mhm.
saw that or not. Um,
Ironically enough, um, so actually, I you do the same thing. We go there, the night before we do the dinner, the donation, the
yeah,
the raffles. So I had said I usually still stay till the end, but like I said, it wasn't really the same, and um, I said, well, listen, let me go up. I at least just want to put a couple raffles in on the guitar, and then I'll get out of here. So I went up to the raffle, and there were two Soul Kitchen workers there, and this little girl came up. She was probably like maybe 9 or 10, and she had a picture of her and John. And I don't think anyone put it up to her because it wasn't a collector's item. It really was a picture of the two of them. She goes up to the kitchen worker and she goes, ma'am, Mr. Bon Jovi didn't sign my picture. And they look at her and they're like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, he didn't sign it. And he's like, will he sign it? And they're like, well, were you in line? And she's like, yeah, but he didn't sign it. And my family and I came from like Chicago or something.
oh,
And she's like, that's why we came here because we said he was going to sign it. And then like the one Soul Kitchen worker looked up to the other one and is like, is he still back there? You know what I mean? And the kitchen worker said he's not going to sign it. And they said he's done. He's done. So I was just getting ready to leave, and as I was getting
oh,
ready to leave, one of the other fans is like, hey, let's see if we see him leave the parking lot.
yeah,
And I'm like, I'm only gonna stick around for 5 or 10 minutes. But sure enough, he comes out of the back, and the first thing we make eye contact with each other. I'm not gonna ask him for a thing. I'm just
yeah,
like, John. I'm like, John, how's it going? He's like, and he got in the car and he left.
yeah. Well,
Um,
but the thing I also want to add too, the fans that
yeah,
were sticking around waiting for him to leave, they were fans that had already gotten something signed and photos, and so they were still trying to get more. it's like how much do you need?
Yeah, well, that actually happened because when we first got there, everyone says this. I mean, you'll do it, I'll do it, but when that adrenaline gets pumping, when he finally comes around, like they're like the people around me said, listen, as soon as he hits us, we're gonna get out of the way so you can get up there. And as soon as he gets them, oh, I can I get this, and and please this and this, and it just all goes out the window.
Yeah. But it's kind of unfair, I think, to the other fans for,
Hmm.
like I said, I've seen pictures. I know who the few of the people are. The people that stalked him in the back of the kitchen, stalked him
Hmm.
outside of the bathroom,
Hmm.
waited by his car, or waiting for him to leave. Even when he was gone after the event, people that would refuse to leave the Soul Kitchen want another picture or want something else signed.
I
I
did like I said, I don't know about the bathroom. Like I don't doubt that. I
That
I
happened
was there.
last year too.
Yeah, I was there when I did actually see him exit the building, get in his car, and left.
Yeah.
And there probably were like 5 or 6 people back there, but they all respected him. They all just said
Good.
either "Hi, John" or "Thanks a lot, John." But no one when he left went up and asked for anything that I could see.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
Um, what else was I gonna say? So let's get into the whole and we said this last year, and I've said this for the last 2, 3 years, and I,
Hmm.
I I was almost certain that things were gonna change this year. Because I mean, even today, with this being the craziest one that they've had so far, how much longer are you going to keep doing it this way? Because I thought two things. There was rumblings that the first 100 people that got tickets were going to meet John inside and done. But then another idea that I had was, okay, maybe John won't go around, but he'll take like
I remember you saying this last year, like
a
all get
group.
together. Yeah.
Yeah, like John stands in front of a whole crowd, a sea crowd, and just smiles, and a lot of people just hate that. But I honestly, I wonder every year, is this year going to be different the way he does things? And I'll say this again. I said on the last 2 years of the podcast at these cook-offs, I think the best way to do things is the first 100 people to buy a ticket. Those 100 people, they get a special wristband. They get to go in. John stays inside the building. The fans have a
Hmm.
line. You go in the building. You just get a photo. You can hand your phone to one of the staff. They take your picture. You go out in the building and done.
Hmm.
Because like you said earlier, it's starting to create a safety hazard because I saw videos where there was just a sea. Obviously you know what I'm talking about. Past the
Hmm.
Dunkin' Donuts line and then to and every year more and more fans are going to be coming because that's their chance to meet John. But it's going to become a serious safety issue where they're going to be like, we're not doing it anymore. Um,
Well, one thing, and I'll respond to that. Just one thing I had left on my notes I forgot to tell you that you might appreciate is Matt kind of stuck around afterwards when John left for I'd say probably 20 minutes or a half hour, and he was right next to me at one point. I didn't really talk to him, but people around me did, and they're all like, Matt, when are we getting another one runaway trip? When are we getting another runaway trip? And Matt's like, it's. He goes, I'm trying. He goes, I'm trying. He goes, it's not me. So then that to parlay into like you're saying, how much longer is this going to go on? Like I had said, like I said, I don't know what the future of this is going to look like. And one of the fans put out a good point. They said, well, she said, what I think I'm going to do is she said, next year's the 10th anniversary of the cook off. She said, so maybe they'll do something special. She said, I'll give it one last shot. She said, but if it's like this, she said, then I'm going to call it a day. And I said the same thing. I said, I said I've never done a runaway trip. I said I know it's this is just a bonus. This isn't even really his thing. It's Dorothea's. Um, and I said obviously they're not going to advertise these here. I said, but if I get a runaway trip with a real good photo and maybe finally that personalization, then I might be done too. And she's like, well, at least give the 10th anniversary a chance. And I said, well, I will. But what I think is this. So I've been reading this year, um, 2 years ago, 65% of the uh, customers of the Soul Kitchen were of food insecurity, and then it jumped up to 69, and then it jumped up to 74 this year. And a lot of the interviews I've seen without John, just the Soul Kitchen staff, say we need the volunteers and the donations to sustain this. They said because now it's a record high. They go 74% of the people coming in here on food insecurity. So here's my thing. They're never going to advertise that John's there because it's not supposed to be about Bon
Yeah.
Jovi. But we all know that I bet 95% of those ticket holders, the only people that are just going there to go are probably people that live within 10 or 15 minutes from
Yeah.
there.
Something
You know,
different.
you know what I mean? 95% of those ticket holders are there. We all know why. So I think one of three things. I agree with you 100% on that. Go in the side room because they're not using it anyway. I think it would be easier on him, easier on the customer. You don't have to worry about weather, and they'll usher you right out the door, and you can't come back in. Or I think they need to do this. It was chaos this year. It was a safety issue, and I don't see how they could do it again, even like legally with fire codes and parking and everything else.
Yeah.
So the 600 people that are paying $31 to go there, they will pay $50 to go there. So
Mhm.
maybe jump it down to 400 people at $50 a pop. You know what I mean? You're going to get the same return and the
But
outcome.
on the same token, though, you're still going to have people without a ticket show up and still try to get to meet John, and then you're still going to
I
get.
think, I do think they can fix that because I could tell they worked on it this year, but they did not. They need security, is what they need.
Yeah.
They need into. It's like going like you get out of your chair to go get a beer at the 100 section at a concert. They're checking your stub when you come back in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they gotta, yeah. Once they got everyone with the wristband situation, they just left, and then it turned in for you know free for all. Or so I agree with you. I'd say they're not using that room. It's got two entrances. Walk in, hand the guy your picture, and they usher you out if you start blabbing too
Yeah.
much. Or or if he really wants to be done with this, I think they need to put out, if say he wanted to be done with it next year, when they do the memo for next year's chili cook-off, say, we know it's never been officially announced that John is part of this, but yes, he's been coming. We understand a lot of people travel from near and far. Unfortunately, he'll no longer be attending these events, but please still come and support this worthy cause. But if they were to do that, I don't think they're going to get 600 people paying to go to it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like
Yeah. That's the.
I would try to come to a happy medium. Like I said, maybe instead of 600 for 30 people, maybe $50 for 350 for
Yeah.
350 tickets. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because like I said, the people that are paying $31 are going to pay 50.
Yeah.
And
It's just.
you, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I empathize for everybody that didn't get a photo or an autograph. It's pure, and like I said, I saw so many videos yesterday, and I'll give John a lot of credit. Like I said, it's chaotic, and he's not the happiest. But I will say every single photo that I saw that he took with fans, he had that classic great JBJ smile, and
hmm
you know, and like you said earlier too about the one other thing that got signed, very nice signature. He don't
hmm
half-ass the signatures and stuff because
hmm
my friend, my
yeah,
Crossroads.
yeah. I saw your Crossroad album. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had a
hmm
dear friend bring that and got it signed for me, and even the
hmm
autograph on that was beautiful. And she had said that John was very just pissed off and
hmm
was just
And you know what? He really was right out of the gate. And
yeah,
um, that's the thing. Like I said, when I went back, because I parked so far away when I had left the cookout to go all the way back to my truck to get that album for the fan, all I could hear were people being like, I don't even know why he bothers coming to this. Like, he's not even pretending he wants to. Like, there were a lot of disappointed.
yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, I'll take John's side on this,
Yeah.
not because I'm a fan or trying to
Mm-hmm.
kiss ass or anything like that. I'm not. You have to be in his shoes. You got
Mm-hmm.
800 people packed, and this is your soul kitchen. This is your restaurant. Your name is on the building.
Hmm.
You're why a lot of people are there. And he could easily say, I'm not doing this. Fuck this.
Hmm.
Do
Hmm.
the tasting and then leave. But gotta give him credit. He literally walked around and tried to get as many people as he could.
Hmm.
I give him credit there. It's
Well,
got to be a tough position to be in.
and I agree, and I don't blame him, and I don't want it to sound like I'm blaming the kitchen because
Oh no, no, not yeah, nothing against what you said.
anyone I've ever met at that Red Bank or Tom's River to do all that,
Yeah.
I mean, they have all been some of the most sincere, top-notch people I've met, so
Oh,
I don't
absolutely.
blame them.
Yeah.
But it is the organization of the event. They I think they just got to increase security. They got to better barricade it, and they got to you can't have you're not getting into a Bon Jovi concert if you don't have a ticket. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
like if you don't have a ticket, you can't get in. And like I said, I think that I'm with you. And you know what? You and I aren't the only one who think about this. I heard a ton of, well, not a ton, but I heard a couple people be like, why doesn't he just take a picture inside and then shoot everyone out? That way they can't come back in. I mean, that's what I would like. But
Yeah.
like I said, I think the happy medium, and in a perfect world for us, it would be that opportunity. In the perfect world for John, it would be just to be done with it. But I think the happy medium would be don't do 600 tickets for $30, do 350 tickets for $50.
Yeah.
And you're going to make the same money. It's going to be a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean,
But it still does not eliminate the amount of fans that are still going to come. That's the issue.
and like I said,
Chaos.
you got I and you're right, but you see there's got to be, I mean, it's
Yeah.
got to be a way for security to cover all those entrances. You know what I mean? Being like,
But then that's
because
money
forget
that
about autographs, it's really just a safety for him. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
just to have that kind of access to a celebrity like that without anyone monitoring it.
Yeah. I say it every year, and maybe next year will be different this time, but
Mm.
I think we're getting pretty as years goes by, I think we're getting closer and closer to the whole thing changing. And,
Yeah.
and maybe we'll find out next year how they're going
Yeah.
to do things.
A-
But
And like I said, oh, sorry.
no, 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 go ahead.
I was just gonna say if they do want to end it, like I said, I think they got to put out that memo.
Oh, you're freezing out. Oh, you are freezing up. Hang tight. Hang
Going
tight
forward,
for a
even if
second. You're
everyone participate in this great event.
okay.
Oh,
Okay. Can
I
you
was
can
just
you?
gonna say, at
Oh,
least in a
that's good.
professional way, tip people off, being like, we know he's always coming.
Hey, Patrick. One second. You're freezing
Am I
up.
good?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
You froze
yeah.
on
Can you hear
mine.
me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. I think we're back on. You were it was lagging for some reason, but I think we're okay now. I think. Mm, can you hear me? Technology. All right, so can you get off the Wi-Fi? Thank you.
1 second here.
No,
Can you give me Wi-Fi? Let me try getting up. Just can we pause it for a minute?
yeah, let's pause it.
I can hear you. Yeah.
All right, we're back, we're back. Technical difficulties and
Okay.
life.
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's move
Okay.
forward so we can finish the episode. Um,
Yeah.
I just want to conclude with saying I give
Mm,
John a lot of credit.
mm,
I know
yeah.
it's tough for him, and he's
Yeah.
trying to make everybody happy. But let's
Hmm.
get off to let's just go into the actual event. And the event itself is
Hmm.
a lot of fun. Just from me going the last couple of years. Um, the tasting the chili,
Hmm.
hanging out with Bon Jovi fans, and that's another thing too, is that we really haven't had any Bon Jovi, we haven't had any runaway trips, we haven't had any tours or anything like that.
Hmm.
So this is pretty much the only way that we've been able to hang out with each other. So that's always fun too, seeing all your Bon Jovi fans or friends, uh,
Hmm.
and just kind of catching up. But I'll let you
Hmm.
take it from here. How was your bandwidth is low. Can you hear me?
Minus?
Oh boy.
I can hear.
All right. We are having Wi-Fi issues. I apologize. So, Patrick, I'm just going to let you finish off the episode with just telling you how the event went, who won the chili contest, and we'll conclude.
Okay. Like usual, all the samples were really good. They had the 50-50 raffle, they had the guitar auction, and then they had the big buffet, obviously. Lines were a little longer this year. I had left because I had to get on the road, so I didn't hear who won the actual cook-off. But other than that, going forward, it needs a little tweaking, but I think it's fixable.
Yeah. I will announce or not announce. What the hell am I saying? I will
Mhm.
say who won just because I think right I've done it every year doing this podcast. So first place was Rutgers University Police Department. Second place was Essex County Prosecutor's Office. Third place was Union Beach Police Department. Best dress was Tom's
Mhm.
River PBA 137. Best
Mhm.
table, Rutgers University Police Department. And then they put out the raffle ticket, which, John signs a guitar and then
Yeah.
gets raffled off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So a little different, but like I said, with a little tweaking, I think it's fixable.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
next year's the 10th anniversary, so hopefully,
Yeah.
you
I'll be
know.
I'll be there. You'll be there. We'll have a great
Mhm.
time and
Yeah.
we'll look back at this day and our episode and we'll see. It's always a fun event though. Like I said, it's great to be with your Bon
Hmm.
Jovi friends. It's a great day to support a good cause. The JBJ Soul Pantry and the Soul Kitchen and the community. It's such Tom's River is such a great community. And and like I said, I think it's great that John and Dorothea come and show face and
Hmm.
support it and so forth. So, but
Hmm.
is there anything else that you wanted to say before the Wi-Fi gets worse? Is there anything else that you wanted to mention?
No, no, just like I said, hopefully, hope for a better year next year.
Yeah, yeah, it's tough, but let's hope for the best next year.
Yeah.
All right, but don't hang up. I'm going to end the recording here, but thank you for coming on. I
Yeah.
always enjoy our Instagram
Yeah.
chats and
Yeah.
you
All
know,
righty, Jerry.
all right, thanks, bye.